Hey there guys, welcome to another episode of ADV China. Today we're going to be taking you somewhere very special.
When I close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind works backwards just for a minute.
But I thought, just as a bit of a trivia here, on my way into the office today, I was riding in here and at the traffic light, a guy in a Harley stopped over and shouted over to me hey, what's that on your helmet? So
it is a bit weird if you don't read Chinese.
As you can see, on my helmet I've got a lot of Chinese characters. These are all the provinces in China that I've been to, and on this side it's all the countries that I've been to.
With a bike.
Yeah. I mean, that I've ridden around on a motorcycle. Obviously, I don't put every country. So, the countries have got Taiwan, South Africa, Thailand, and England. And that's actually just Taipei City. That was...
Where's America?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I put this helmet together before I'd ever been to America. So, but now, we're actually over here.
Heilongjiang.
Heilongjiang province is where we are today.
It actually means Black Dragon River.
Yeah.
And it's the northernmost province of China. So you're going to see very stark differences from what you might have seen from our other videos. I would say you'd probably compare it to maybe northeastern America, to be honest. It's very green, very harsh winters. And even the vibe of all the architecture is not Chinese at all.
No, it's super cool.
Very Russian.
During our whole Conquering Northern China trip, where we went up through these provinces, this is probably my favorite sort of stop-off, to be honest.
The Harbin city, yeah.
Yeah.
Harbin used to be a Russian city, and you're going to see it looks like Russia. It's actually a very impressive-looking city, not just because it's Russian. It's quite clean.
Yeah.
It's nice. Well, at least the city center, I should say. The outskirts are a little different.
Yeah, look, here's the thing. I want you to notice in the background, we're currently riding into Harbin, and there's something that I would like everybody to keep an eye out for, and that is other motorcycles.
Yeah.
You'll notice that we are the only motorcycles on the road, and there's a reason for this. They've banned motorcycles in Harbin, which is, of course, something we weren't really sure of.
Right.
And, this is one of the biggest pitfalls of riding a motorcycle through China is you don't actually always know where motorcycles are allowed and where they aren't. And they ban them for various reasons. The biggest reason is they want to get rid of a poor look because motorcycles are for poor people in China.
Right.
We're not talking about Harleys and stuff. There are Harley clubs and things. Yeah. You can find them in Beijing and Shanghai, but not in Harbin. You're not allowed to ride. So you'll be riding on your trip and you'll come across a place and you'll notice there are no bikes around, and then you kind of whoops, and we noticed that. We're like, hang on a second. Obviously, it's a bike banned area. We better get to our hotel. Oh, What do we got there?
I saw some propaganda behind the rainbow.
Okay, let me...
the irony. What's at the end of the rainbow? Xi Jinping propaganda.
Yeah. Right.
Can you get a little closer? It says 坚定不一项经济建设这个中心聚焦发卡答应哈尔滨全面振兴发展攻坚战. That's not a super exciting one, but it's exciting. Very telling. Actually, if I can explain, you translate it first.
Look, you get that kind of thing in a lot of cities and wherever when you go to the downtown parts.
But I want to explain later why there's a focus here.
Okay, but that, I guess it means without fail, focus on.
Yeah, Jianding is like without fail.
Yeah, unswerving. How would you say it? Just do it.
Hold the line.
Just do it.
Don't give up. Yeah.
It says focus on building the economy and winning a battle to completely revitalize, revamp, and build Harbin.
Yeah.
So, sorry guys, incredibly boring kind of...
No, but this is important. So the whole region of Dongbei, where we are right now, and the reason that Dongbei is always in the news in China is because it's the only place in China with a negative population growth. That doesn't happen. It's negative. It's not just low numbers. The reason is people all leave it because of the iron rice bowl system that China had set up, the state jobs. This was all manufacturing for steel production and all this kind of rust belt type stuff that it's dried up in China.
Yeah.
So all these people leave here, and it's very concerning in these areas because they're running out of money, right? So a lot of the young people are in fact leaving. So this propaganda, again, is telling people what they have to do because there's an issue at hand.
I got you.
Right.
Just thought we'd point out the license plates. We always do that. You can see it says, hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
Hey. But hey...
Heilongjiang.
Yeah, exactly. Hey means black.
Yeah.
And A means it's the capital city.
The province name is probably the coolest in all of China, Black Dragon River.
I think so. There isn't a better one.
There is not a better one. No. One of the coolest provinces as well. And A always means the capital. So Harbin, the capital. Very beautiful city. Was a past Russian city, as you'll see. And it's very impressive. It's a very impressive city in China.
Well, when you've been riding through... Well, we've been riding through a lot of the Dongbei area.
It's a Mercedes dealership.
Oh, yeah, there's actually a
Bentley dealership.
Look at that.
There's a Bentley dealership.
Bentley next to the Mercedes. Did I skip back or forward? Oh,
I saw it on the way in.
Anyway, there's Bentley, there's Mercedes. When you ride through some of the Dongbei cities, like I've always said, they look pretty much the same. It doesn't matter if you're in the south of China, the north of China, things look very similar. But this looks different. Yeah. And so up until this point, of course, during the trip, I was being very sort of pessimistic and annoyed by this all the time. It's like, come on, can we just...
Right, for the architecture,
what are we doing? But now we get here and I'm like, finally, something fresh, something different. And that's, like you said, because it was built by the Russians.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, they kept the same architectural style. So when the money came in, they still kept building Russian-style buildings.
Yeah.
That's why it looks like a Russian city.
I mean, you see a lot of banks. I'm seeing banks here. There's
Rainbow
there's
is beautiful.
A station. Yeah, the rainbow is actually very nice.
The city center is absolutely gorgeous, especially with St. Sophia Cathedral.
The St. Sophia Cathedral is very cool.
Yeah. So anyway, but Dongbei's got such a different culture. I wanted to point something out. Dongbei is so different than the south of China, especially up here. You know, when you think of China, you think of like Beijing opera and like that high-pitched shrill opera sound and like dragons, and you think of like I don't know, like wontons and just all the imagery, like those red pagoda type things. That's not up here. What you get up here is very tall, very bigger people that speak very loudly, drink a lot, and act much more like a Russian would than a normal Chinese person would. I mean, it shocked me when I first went to Harbin. I saw construction workers, really big burly guys, without their shirts on, eating lunch. They were drinking beer.
Yeah.
And they were eating sausage, dipping it in mustard, and eating cabbage. And I was like, what? But they're Chinese guys, right?
Yeah.
Very different than the rest of China.
Even in China, even Chinese people, they have the stereotypes of Dongbei people as being strong, tall, they can drink a lot.
And dumb.
Well,
that's a stereotype. They're not actually dumb.
Of course, after we arrived, we went straight away to get some local food.
So these are cool. These restaurants, it's so cold in Harbin. It's freezing. You're talking 6 months of absolute atrociously cold weather. Yeah. So they have these underground restaurants. They're so cheap. You get these wheat pancakes.
Yeah.
And they're very flat, and you put these savory fillings inside, and it's almost like a burrito.
Yeah.
Or you could say a Russian blini.
Yeah.
Very similar. Again, huge influence from Russia here.
Yep.
With the Chinese flavor. But this, I would say, our best eating in the whole trip was obviously up in this area. You get sausages, it's a mainstay.
See some garlic over there.
Yes.
Snow beer.
Very, very Russian influence. I had no introduction to Russian food before this.
Why were we drinking snow beer when they've got Harbin PJ, which is
way
better? I don't understand.
I think this particular restaurant only had snow.
That's right. And we were very disappointed.
Yeah, because Harbin beer is much, much better. Anyway, long story short, these very communist era kind of tanting, as they call them, cafeterias, still offer very cheap food.
Yeah.
And so this is just an area that you'd hang out in, city center and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just wanted to show like the architecture. You can definitely tell they're selling the usual tat that you see everywhere in China, but
shoelaces.
Yeah, and Korean face masks and phone cases and phone accessories and stuff. Usual tourist tat, but you can see the architecture here.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's very different. It's not like you see anywhere else in China.
No.
Now, something happened to us, not here.
Yeah.
Like quite a ways off. Now, if you've watched our documentary, Conquering Northern China, if you haven't, there are links below.
Sure.
Definitely suggest checking it out. We went for what's called a blind massage. We went to these blind masseuses, and the idea is that people that are blind, of course, their other senses develop, better. That's the whole idea behind the blind masseuse.
It's a bit of a rumor.
Yeah, well, either way. The whole idea is that their sense of touch is better. So they know how to find like the knots and all the things that are wrong with you, and they can give you a really good massage. And so you get this system where blind people are actually hired to become masseuses, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like a government project.
And it gives them a job to do and stuff. And so it
is a positive of the Chinese government. They give jobs to blind people.
Absolutely. So anyway, we went to the blind masseuse, and they almost killed us, of course. They
were
seriously...
they're good at their job, but wow, was it painful. But that's a typical Chinese massage. But whenever you ask like a Chinese person, about a blind massage, you go in there to get hurt.
Yeah, exactly. But just before we got into the blind massage place, we were busy setting up. We had our cameras and stuff with us, okay? Everything's there. And there were 4 foreigners and a Chinese guy, our Chinese driver, who's hanging around with us.
He carried the equipment in the car.
So, we're standing there as 4 foreigners, and we're getting ready to kind of go do the introduction
in an
shot.
alleyway, right?
Yeah, in this alleyway. And this like group of burly, gangster-looking guys.
We'll put a shot up what they look like. These Dongbei guys, they wear these beaded necklaces or gold chains, and they won't wear shirts a lot of the times, and they'll have tattoos all over, dragons and koi.
So now here's the thing: the 2 cameramen were British. Okay, I'm South African, but whenever somebody asks where I'm from in China, I say I'm British, just so I can avoid this hour-long conversation explaining why I'm not black.
Yeah, it's
and the whole history of South Africa and all that stuff. So they ask where I'm from. I just say, 我是英国人, I'm British, and then they'll get like, oh, gentleman, or something like that. It's kind of the usual thing you hear.
And I was about to say where I was from.
Yeah, but it's very, very, very lucky that they asked me and the camera guys first, where are you from? And I was, 我是英国人,
Keep in mind, their presence was very threatening.
Yeah, so we were like, what's going on here? Are they coming to shake us down or something? Yeah. And immediately, you were about to say where you're from, but luckily they replied immediately, and they're like, good. If you said you were American, there'd be a problem.
Yes. And the language they used and the tone they used was very threatening. They leaned into us, and they made sure to make sure that we were not American.
What was it? Was it because of the South China Sea stuff? There was something going on at the time.
I think it was the THAAD missiles.
Oh, is that what it was?
Actually, THAAD missiles was way before that, but there was a huge hangover after that of anti-Americanism. And actually, the anti-Americanism started in 2014, from what I remember, and all the way up until like 2018, 2019. It kept going.
Well, I mean, it goes in waves.
Yeah, but
I found I had other American friends, and they'd be fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
The thing is,
I'm talking about people that are looking for trouble.
Sure, but there would be like totally waves all the time. So it'll be fine to be American for a while, just okay.
And then Canadians
and
bad.
Then, all of a sudden French people are bad,
right? Or
American people, or Canadians, or
so
whatever.
At the time, American people were bad.
That's me, Jack. I'm a pretty radical dude. I've been trying to teach my whole family all about internet security. They're pretty dumb when it comes to these things. There are a lot of dangers out there on the World Wide Web, but I even taught my old man that if you're gonna catch the wave of the internet superhighway, you gotta do it safely with NordVPN. Take some advice from my main man, Jack. The internet's a scary place. It really isn't the way it used to be back in the past. There are a lot of threats out there. So we use NordVPN for multiple reasons. I mean, it's a very good way to keep your data safe from prying eyes. On top of that, it's a fantastic way to circumvent region locking when it comes to perhaps wanting to watch a certain kind of show that you normally can't in your country. Also, if you happen to be in a situation where you're stuck behind a firewall, maybe in an oppressive country or regime, NordVPN's a way around that. So, we recommend NordVPN. Don't forget to go to nordvpn.com/ADVChina. You'll get a massive discount off of a 2-year plan, and if you use the code ADVChina, you'll get an additional month for free. Now, back to the show.
So anyway, what I wanted to introduce is that in Harbin, it's in Dongbei.
Yeah.
So I remember I talked about that Rust Belt. The jobs dry up, right? So you have this culture, and Chinese people will tell you about this before anyone. Yeah. The Dongbei people, they have this problem where there's no more state jobs in some of these sectors. Right. So you have young men that are they don't have an entrepreneurial spirit, so they don't leave. Yeah. And they stick around, they get indoctrinated in these kind of gangs. It's not like Crips and Bloods or Yakuza or something like you're thinking about. It's a bunch of lazy people that have nothing to do, so they go cause trouble. Yeah. They walk around with pipes, they beat each other up all the time, they get drunk and throw bottles at each other. Sure. And they go around to these village areas or alleyways and they ask for protection money. It's a very old school racket.
Yeah, it's Hei Hui.
It's Hei Hui, as they call it, the black society.
It's mafia,
It's
really.
mafia.
Yeah.
It's just such a low, it's difficult to explain. It's not the kind of mafia that's going to trail your family for generations.
Well, you're not expecting like an Italian Don with a hat and a suit. No,
but that's what that word implies, right?
Yeah.
So you get these guys; they're usually tattooed. You got some great footage of some in Beijing, I believe. Yeah. We'll throw that up here.
I tell you what, I took that footage at my own peril. You have no idea.
Oh, these guys are scary.
And they noticed right at the end, and I was just I'm just looking at my camera on, just pretending, because like you'll see in the footage, we'll show it. The one guy like looks at me, and that's when I'm like, oh, my camera's just not, like I'm doing some settings or something. Because man, oh man,
these guys are strong too.
I put myself in peril to get that footage for you. I'll tell you what.
And the difference between us and them is they fight all the time. Yeah. That's like their hobby, right? Yeah. Don't ever let anyone tell you that like, oh, Chinese men are weak or something. They can't.
No,
these guys are brutal, dude. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, the economy dries up and they have no opportunity, so they go around and shake down these areas, but they also protect them. So that what they were doing was protecting the blind masseuse area that they have control over, right? They obviously get a cut from this business. Yeah. But they wanted to make sure that we weren't there to stir any shit, that we weren't journalists, and definitely not Americans, right?
Sure.
But Dongbei in general, I mean, there's a stereotype. I actually have this really good quote that I translated, and it's something that I believe to be very true. A Chinese person told me the other day, we were having this conversation, and he said, there's a saying in Eastern and in Southern China, we get rich because we drink tea, and the more caffeine we drink, the sharper our minds get. This makes good business agreements materialize. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
In Southern China and Eastern China, that rich areas like in Zhejiang and Jiangsu, people are rich there because they're not massive alcoholics. They're not super binge drinking all the time.
Well,
it happens. The alcohol culture is very different.
I get it. Yes, maybe with normal people, but every single business deal that I was a part of, every single government meeting I was a part of, everyone is gumbaying, baijiuing, getting drunk. Now, every single time, without fail.
Now, I will agree with you on the government aspect. What I will say is people that have long-term cooperations with each other, they are having tea in southern China. They're going and smoking cigarettes and having tea. Whereas in Dongbei, they have a European drinking culture in that they're getting drunk all the time.
Right.
You know how you're talking about, they're ganbang and doing all these things. They don't like it.
No, they don't like it in the south. China. No. That's why like the bosses will designate people to drink for them very often.
Whereas up here in Dongbei, they like it. It's part of their culture. Drinking is absolutely a part of everything, right?
Yeah.
So the second part of the quote is Dongbei people, so northern Chinese people, are poor because they drink alcohol, and when a deal is about to go through, people are too drunk to remember what they talked about, and the alcohol has already made them feel like they've accomplished everything. Right. And there is something to that.
Right.
It's a very different culture up there way in the north.
That's right.
So anyway, this was not the first time that we ran into the Dongbei Mafia types.
Yeah.
It happened again, and they oftentimes are agents of the government, which is something people probably don't understand because you would never get that in like the...
Well, very often when the government is trying to do something which, of course, they can't just do, like evict people off their land so they can steal the land for development and selling it to real estate people. If you've got people that don't want to move, they hire these thugs to go and beat them up and to destroy their houses and stuff. They actually do that. If they want business to move out of town, they hire them to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw what happened with the Hong Kong protesters. They hired thugs to go and cause trouble and start beating people up and things. It's part of Chinese society.
It is.
Yeah.
And there's actually places that export these thugs. They'll raise, like these towns in Dongbei, they'll raise these people. Remember there was an app that came out where you could, for a short while, you could pay Dongbei thugs to go beat people up for you.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. There's an export economy for these big, burly guys that have nothing going on in their lives. They don't care if they get in trouble with the cops.
Right.
And they'll go and try to make a little extra money.
Yeah.
This is interesting. This is a bit of a hip-hop culture that was taking off at the time. Still is.
We both filmed quite a lot of that, it seems. But it was just fun to see. It's good to see the youth expressing themselves.
For sure. Because, and they're good. They're talented.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we spend so much time filming these guys, because I'll be
honest, a rare sight.
Honest with you, in China, to conform is the way to go. And so to see that kind of thing is...
We just saw a lot of things in Harbin that kind of impressed us to stand out from the crowd a little bit, right?
Here, we've left the town now, and this is where we came across our second thug.
This is only 20 kilometers
interaction.
Outside. Yeah.
But I just wanted to point out how nice it looks out here.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Doesn't that remind you of like evergreen forest or something?
Yeah, it's got pine trees. It's kind of alpine in some parts. All the different flowers and stuff.
Very uncharacteristic.
A lot of insects.
Yeah.
Huge amounts of insects.
Lots of those deer flies.
Still no birds, though. I'm not seeing any birds here. Look, okay, watch our videos. Watch every single clip. Freeze frame every single thing. When we're in and around the cities, zero birds.
You know where I saw birds was in St. Sophia Cathedral in the city center. There were pigeons.
Yeah, those trained pigeons. Those white
they
ones
fly
go
around.
Yeah. Anyway, here we are riding... we've just finished filming something to do with birds, actually.
Yeah.
I got to tell that story.
Okay.
All right. You know that there are these famous herons in China?
I know this, but you have to explain it to them in Chichihar.
Okay. In Chichihar.
It's a very funny name.
They've got like a red dot. It's actually a Japanese
very
national
beautiful.
bird as well.
Very beautiful.
And there's this place where they go to nest every year, okay? And it's this natural thing, and people go to watch them, right? And it's kind of an interesting situation because you go there. It's a touristy thing. You pay to get in. You go to this place. There's like a viewing area that you go stand at. And then every once in a while, somebody will like shout something, and then you'll see these birds come over the hill. They'll fly, they'll come land, they'll like wade around for a little bit for all the tourists to take photos, and then they'll fly off behind the hill. So we flew the drone up, okay, because we were getting drone footage. And they have cages on the other side, and they're keeping them in cages. So it's not a natural, let's come on over. These are trained birds that are kept in cages and released for the tourists, and they're trained to come straight back to the cage area where they're put back in their cages.
When it comes to nature, Winston and I have rarely found an authentic experience.
Yeah.
Like we've met authentic people, we've had authentic experiences in China, but if it comes to animals in particular, it is pretty much always staged.
So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, that was a nature preserve, like a national treasure.
Yeah. I mean,
so anyway.
Whatever. It's billed as this place where they come naturally. They migrate there every year. But no, what? They're actually kept there under lock and key and trained.
Right.
And allowed. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
So these local thugs in these areas, they're trained to go look for, this would be an example of ones that are hired by the government. They're trained to go look for things out of the ordinary and go harass people.
Yeah, well, what do we see in the distance here? This is one of the funnier aspects of China is when you travel around the rural areas is the fake police.
Yeah, to make people slow down.
Yeah, so we were making a joke, and we were like, oh, we need directions. Why don't you go ask that policeman over there?
Right.
Okay. And so you're like, sure, I'll head on over and ask him. So you can see. They put these guys up. Sometimes they put cardboard cutouts as well.
Yes.
Just depends. I'm sure.
I've seen fake cop car ones too.
Yeah, they have
Sometimes they'll have a broken down cop car. I've seen in Inner Mongolia.
Or just a cardboard cutout.
Or a cardboard cutout, yeah.
So yeah, anyway, you're just like playing around, messing around, give him a little tap and like, hey, can you tell us where to go? And oh, he doesn't know, that kind of thing.
And this is what got the attention of something a bit more sinister.
Yeah.
So we actually have the clip of this, but it'll be a part of the behind the scenes for our TV show.
Yeah. I didn't see this happen because I literally after
you bolted,
this,
dude.
Well, no,
you left me.
There's a petrol station up in the distance, and we needed petrol, so that was our next stop. So I was like, okay, I'll see you at the petrol station. So, I saw there was a petrol station in the distance, so I'm like, all right, I'll see you guys at the petrol station, because, our cameramen and stuff were there.
They're still filming
they were filming you, and I hopped on my bike, and I went to the petrol station, and you guys took forever, and I was like, what's going on with these guys?
Well, something bad was going on.
Explain.
So a black car rolls up, and it was totally full. And I got flashbacks of one of the worst experiences I've had in China. So there's 6 guys packed in like sardines into this car. Front guys have shirts on. Guys in the back don't have shirts on. Like, here we go. So they pull up next to me, and I lean over to talk to them. They're like, wait. Then they see I'm a foreigner. And then they see our cameramen are foreigners too, right? And that set them off a little bit. They're definitely like mad at what I was doing
because you were messing with.
I was messing with
the fake policeman.
The fake policeman, right? I wasn't hurting it or anything.
No.
But they were like that was enough to trigger what you could see as if a local was doing that, they would go harass that person, right?
Sure.
They saw I was a foreigner, and they still harassed me, but not to the same extent that they might do to some poor kid that was like messing around there. But anyway, they were like, "What are you doing here?"
Sure.
And then they're like, "Whoa!" The other guy goes, "Why are there cameras here? What are you doing? Why are you filming here?" And then after a while, like I told the camera guys, I was like, "I'll just put the cameras away. We don't need to film this anymore." And they didn't. I don't know if they caught on immediately.
I gotta say, there were quite a few situations where they weren't very, I don't know, attentive or attuned to the situation at hand. Where we're like, yeah, we gotta go. But yeah.
Anyway, long story short, they did eventually like pack up the camera stuff, and the guys just kept shouting at me like, "What are you doing? Why are you here?" And I was like, "We're just traveling. Well, they kept asking, "Why do you have these big cameras? Why do you have these cameras? What are you doing? Why are you filming this? Why are you filming this?" And I said, "Oh, we just thought it was funny because the police officer is fake." And I chuckled.
Yeah.
They did not think that was funny at all.
I'm sure.
Completely dead ass serious. One of them lights a cigarette. I was like, gosh. It reminded me of a scenario that I've covered on my channel previously of 6 guys in a car harassing me.
Sure.
So thankfully that transpired into not being a terrible situation, but they were not pleased, and they told us to leave the town. They said, "Get out of here."
Sure.
So we got out of there, and they didn't. They followed us. They followed us, and then as soon as they got to the petrol station, they took off.
Yeah.
They didn't get out.
I did see.
I was trying to tell.
Car.
When I reconnected with you, I was trying to tell you like let's go, let's get petrol later, but they left.
Yeah.
You did see the car.
I did see the car go past, like after you guys.
I thought they were gonna pull in with us.
Yeah, so that's where you guys were all that time, dealing with those. Yeah, it's kind of an unpleasant situation.
So, yeah, I know that sounds like a minor situation. I've dealt with a lot more of that, especially when I lived up in these regions in the past. But it's funny to see how pervasive the whole mafia situation is. Because, it's just bored-ass, not teenagers, bored teenagers that grow up and then bored 20, 30-something-year-olds have nothing in their life.
Yeah.
And they eventually make this natural hierarchy. The fatter you get, the stronger you are. Mm-hmm. You'll see them burning cigarette burns in their arms. Yep. They start getting tattoos across their chests, and they start buying horrible jewelry.
Sure.
And eventually, it just becomes a lifestyle of just getting drunk, fighting, and harassing people.
Yeah,
it's a very interesting thing because it's not something you necessarily see down south.
I mean, you see it, but
they have Ace
it's
Way,
different.
But it's different.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Yeah. So, I guess that was our little experience up in Harbin with the mafia and fake police.
And the fake birds.
In the fake birds, man. Seriously, those fake birds that...
I'm trying to think if we've ever had an organic experience with birds in China.
I mean, look, there are birds.
Of course.
But you have to go real far and, out of the reach of human civilization before you start to see birds in the wild.
Like wild birds.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely not around the cities, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the odd one here or there.
Yeah.
Like a sparrow.
Maybe
but
one.
It's rare. Maybe one sparrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't they travel in flocks?
Yeah, they do. They're supposed to. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Guys, thank you once again for watching ADV China. We hope you learned something new. You got to see a new part of China that you haven't seen in our videos before. And we can't wait until next time where we bring you something better and more. Well, maybe not better, but at least cool.
I think it'll be better. It can be better sometimes.
Leave a comment down below if you want to see the south of China again or the more north, because
we have a bunch of provinces we can go to.
We got tons of cool things. So until next time, you know the drill. As always, stay awesome.